Hi, everyone. Joy here from the customer education team here at Crossbeam. So if you're with us on April 8th for our session on how I Crossbeam AI, you may recall that we had a bit of a technical hiccup and didn't get to hear from Heatherly, who is the Director of Strategic Alliances at Arena. And guess what? Now we're offering you a bonus opportunity to hear from her. She has built an amazing partnership agent and has a really good handle and understanding about the AI journey. So I'm hoping that you'll find some practical advice here and help you with your journey. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Heatherly. I think the first question really is like, tell us what you built.
Yeah, no, great. Thanks. First of all, thanks, Troy, for inviting me to participate. Sorry that I did miss the live session due to kind of technical reasons, but great to be here. And so hopefully this chat will be useful to other people using Crossbeam and using AI and kind of exploring what they can do with both technologies and others. So yeah, at Arena, so Arena is part of PTC. We are a multi-tenant cloud PLM QMS platform for product manufacturers. And I do oversee, as you mentioned, all of our partnership motions, and we have a variety of types of partnerships. And I share that because it adds to, if you are in partnerships and you are managing many different types of partnership relationships, of course, it adds to the complexity, not just of the program you manage, but the information that your teams need about your partnerships, right? So we have referral partners, we have marketplace or technology partners, we have value-added services partners, and then we also have some more platform technology partnerships. And so you can imagine as our sellers and our customer success people, for example, are trying to navigate particular customer needs. It's a lot of information. We have a large partnership network, and it's critical for them to get the right partners in front of the customers for the customer's need. So we did build a partnership AI agent. PTC is a Microsoft shop in general, so we use Microsoft platforms for all of our business applications. So we built it in Copilot Studio for the Copilot Teams environment. And so our partnership AI agent does have access to Crossbeam through the MCP connection. It allows us to bring that Crossbeam data into a multi-data source analysis for these customer-facing teams and for our partnership team as well. So we have a lot of knowledge sources. We can talk about those knowledge sources in a minute, but the Crossbeam MCP connection is the latest addition to this partnership agent. So we are still exploring the use cases, and we're learning which ones add value to the teams for their daily work. And also for our partnership management activities, right? We're also exploring how we use the Crossbeam MCP there. Everything from good fit analysis of a potential partner to opportunity to do more with our partner ecosystem as the team looks to hit our KPIs. So at the highest level, that's kind of a high level of the partnership agent and Crossbeam being the latest addition. Tell me what else you want to know about it.
No, I love that. I like hearing that you're still exploring. I think a lot of times people think, oh, if you're using the MCP, like, and agents, like you've got it all figured out. So I really think it's nice to hear that there's still a lot of internal conversation and strategy that's being developed about that. So let's talk about, what those applications or tools that you're using that are helping you pull all this off.
Yeah, so like I said, we built it in Copilot
Mhm.
Studio, and the users mostly access it through the Teams platform, although they can also just use Copilot Web to access it. So for our partnership agent, and I think this is important when you're building agents to understand what the goal is of that agent. There is a temptation to try to make an agent kind of be everything, right? Or, the idea of boiling the ocean with one agent. It's tricky to do that. And you will potentially run into a lot more hallucinations and like incomplete answers with your agent. So I think first understanding what the goal is. So our goal for our partnership agent, as it's perhaps not imaginatively named, but specifically named, is to be the authoritative source about arena partnerships for our teams. So we had a strong need to control those hallucinations and constrain the AI to only the validated and trusted sources. So our agent has access to select arena website pages, so the public website pages that list our partners and relationships with them, that have customer stories of our Better Together partnerships. And then we have a marketplace on our Arena website of apps and integrations for our platform that are provided by our technology partners. It's a bit of a catalog, if you will, and the kind of source of truth for buyers, customers, and our team about here's the output of these technology partnerships. That's what that marketplace is. Those are the website pages that the agent has access to. Our agent is restricted from general web access because we want it to be the latest accurate source of truth. So we don't want the agent reading blogs anywhere on the web, Reddit articles, wandering into competitive, FUD about us and our partnerships, that sort of thing. So we restricted it from a web standpoint. It also has access, like I said, through MCP to Crossbeam, also to Gong, which we as a team have very much embraced, and Crayon, which is a competitive intel platform. For those who haven't heard about it, it's a competitive intel platform, has its own AI capabilities, as well as keeping track of things on the web, having to do with any company you turn it towards. Ostensibly could be competitors, but in our case, we also use it for partnership at a glance boards because of its AI assisted news feeds and its connection to our CRM for like win-loss analysis. And because our team uses Crayon a lot, they've been trained to go to Crayon for all things competitive intel. So we leveraged it for those partnership at a glance boards as well. So the partnership agent has access to all of that. It then also has access to a select set of SharePoint folders with partnership SOPs, partnership internal information, things that we wouldn't be publishing on the web, for example, but is an authoritative source about our partnerships for our internal teams. So that's kind of the scope of what it consists of.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I think I appreciate hearing the nuances because and even the point about the hallucinations, like I think no one talks about that enough. Like you got to have that to some extent while you're training it essentially. But it sounds like you put a lot of pieces together to kind of like make sure this layer is really, really tight. So I think, the not having one data source isolation is important too. Like you said, having like the really tight focus. I guess I'm just curious to hear a little bit about like what does a decision or workflow look like? Like how has it changed? What's looking different with the agent?
Yeah. So for our customer facing teams, their day to day, we first of all, we did spend a lot of time educating them. I will say that if you're new to putting agents out for your team, you're going to have a range, of course, from early adopters who are using AI in their life, right? Every day, they've got Perplexity on their phone. They've got a Claude account or a Chat GPT account, and they're asking it all kinds of things about their personal life and activities. To people who really have not knowingly embraced AI, right? It's only because it kind of showed up somewhere, right? So first, when you have an agent, you need to really help your team understand how to use it. I know those of you listening who have been involved in AI know that, learning how to ask questions of an AI, the prompts, and prompt engineering, you may have heard that term, it is actually really important, right? So the critical components of AI are how good the data is, right? How complete, the quality of the data for the purposes of the agent, the constraints you've built on the agent, and then how well users interact with your agent, right? So we spend a lot of time educating users, and it does take time, particularly to get the people who are a little hesitant, right? And also just because, to your point, that day to day, you're trying to change people's behavior, right? And we all have behaviors at work. Like, this is where I go to get information about this. This is how I find out about this. This is who I Slacker teams, right? And so what we were trying to do is get them to not Slacker teams or search randomly, but to go to the agent. So for today, I'm happy to say that 9-10 months after we got the agent out in its first iteration, I think that the majority of our teams, customer facing teams, go to the partnership agent to ask kind of the day-to-day questions they have about partnerships. And so those can be things like, I have a buyer who has this mechanical CAD system. What are their options for integrating that mechanical CAD system to Arena, delivered by which partners, and what are the differences between those offerings, right? Like my buyer, this is their mechanical CAD environment and the complexity or the size, and this is what they think they need. Tell me what the good fit partnership would be, right? So those are the types of questions they're asking the agent regularly now. It's much more efficient, obviously, because they don't have to remember where to go to find the information. They don't have to kind of sort through it and then get it summarized in their brain, because the agent also summarizes it for them, right? We also built into the agent in a later integration kind of the ability to summarize and put it in kind of a format for email, so they can easily copy and paste it. So you can see how it would make it much more efficient. And of course, we wanted it to be accurate as well. That's kind of the day-to-day for a lot of our customer facing teams. Now, for my small team that manages partnerships, we use it differently. To your point about making decisions, I will say we're not at a point where we're removing the human from making decisions. So we keep our team in the loop. The partnership agent and none of our other agents, none of them are automating decisions. However, they aid us in decisions, right? And consistently. And so I'll give you an example this last week, which included the Crossbeam MCP component of the partnership agent. So one of the things we've really appreciated about Crossbeam as we've explored its use itself is we've been using Crossbeam more and more in our vetting of new potential partnerships. Because one of the questions you often need to answer in looking at new partners is, what is our overlap, right? In that ideal customer profile, in that ICP, what's our overlap in customers? What's our overlap in maybe engaged opportunities and prospects, those greenfield opportunities? And so we use that counts only, right? Share counts only, because we've done an NDA, but we don't have partnership agreements in place. And we've been using that in Crossbeam. That's great. But now we can use that capability that we've turned on in Crossbeam and through the partnership agent with that MCP component to kind of go next level and compare that with other information the partnership agent has access to get a bigger picture. So we're investigating a partnership with a company right now. It's a channel partner for an ERP that's dominant in our customer base. So it's not a company that is in our space, right? This channel partner, they're not in the PLM QMS space. They're in that adjacent platform area that always exists in our customer base, right? The ERPs. And so we were able to ask the partnership agent, have a conversation really to evaluate the strength of that potential partnership by looking at the overlaps that we had set up in Crossbeam, but also considering a couple of key partnerships we do have in place that we know would help us see better, kind of enrich those overlaps, right? Because if they have, if they're an overlap with this potential channel partner, but they also have like this MES or this MCAD tool, et cetera, it strengthens the overlap for us. And then we were also able to have the partnership agent look at our own priorities for assessing partnerships, which is in some of those SharePoint files, some of those SOPs, right, of guidance about our partnership strategy and what makes a great partnership. So the agent did the analysis and was able to bring all this together and give us guidance for that decision. It isn't perfect, but it was a great start, and it was faster than manual, faster than running reports in Crossbeam, and then taking that to the agent to consider like that partnership vision and our strategy and requirements on partnerships, right? The agent was able to bring all that together to really have its own kind of problem solving drive and give us recommendations, right? Not just analysis, but recommendations. But we do keep the human in the loop. We're not ready to turn over automation of decisions to these agents at this point.
I think that's a really crucial point too, is that yes, they're helping us look at these bigger picture items and giving us better context. And that, the second party data that we have at Crossbeam is so unique. It just really can help drive that decision making, hopefully faster for your team. But the humans don't go away. We just get to do our jobs more efficiently. Like I found, some awful manual workflow, and that was like the first thing I automated. I was like, yes, please don't make me do this anymore. So there's lots of things that that it can do on small scale and obviously on a much bigger scale to help your team be more efficient. I guess I'm thinking though, like how does the team feel about, like, do they feel comfortable with this, basically like this extra coworker that helps them make decisions? And what does it look like for them as far as like feeling confident in using the tool?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think you have to earn trust, and that includes trust in the technologies that you put in front of teams. Um, and so, like any technology, so in our own platform, right, with our customers, when they adopt Arena as a PLM, the champions, the business owners, the power admins have to educate and have to earn the trust of the users that this is good for their work, it's beneficial, and it is also, accurate, right? And it's going to deliver the right outcomes. I think AI is the same, and I will say that I do believe the challenge is real because AI, as we know, has just exploded so quickly. And I think the consumer level AI with things like ChatGPT came out so quickly, gained rapid kind of adoption of just playing around with stuff, but not, you kind of skipped that education phase for all of society, right? So I talk with a lot of people at work and then in my life, and like my own kids who are in their 20s, who aren't in technology and don't really understand how AI works. And actually, interestingly, my kids, my Gen Z kids, both of them have a really I don't even know if it's healthy. I would say it's just they have a skepticism of AI, because I think they don't understand how it works, and they aren't trusting it for the things they could trust it for. So I think there is skepticism, and we've had skepticism in our team. So one of the things you have to do in order to gain that trust is prove out, right? That's an iterative process, and so. AI agents are not set them up once and you're done, right? We actually maintain our agent regularly. So one of the things that what you can do with teams is say, look, here's what I think is really important to say. Here's the knowledge sources, make it visible to everyone. Here's the knowledge sources the AI has access to. Here's the knowledge source. Here's everything else the AI agent doesn't know, right? And as you ask questions, as you use the AI agent, if you see it hallucinate, if you see it miss, if you see it not give you a good answer and you know, then do reach out and let us know. Tell us the prompt, tell us what answer you got, and we may need to go and update the agent, right? We may need to add another knowledge source. We may need to refine it with some constraints or guidance, right? And or we may need to educate the team and remind them of what the agent is for and what it's not for. So a great example about that earning trust and getting over the skepticism, to your point, is, like as I said before, our agent doesn't get to surf the web, and it also, even though it's built in Copilot for those on Microsoft platforms, it also doesn't get to wander through other parts of SharePoint or Teams conversations or email, right? But our public Copilot, right, in PTC that shows up in Teams, the default Copilot does, right? It gets to surf SharePoint, Teams conversations, chats. And so I get people come back and go, hey, I asked the partnership agent if we had a partnership with X, and it told me no. But I asked Copilot if we had a partnership with X, and it gave me this information in SharePoint and said that, maybe we do. And I'm like, well, it's because we were talking to X, company X, and you got access, the Copilot agent got access to my PowerPoint, right, that I was presenting to leadership. But the partnership agent says no because we don't, right? We're just talking to them. And the partnership agent is an authoritative source, right, for your purpose. And so to your answer, to your question, you have to, it is nuanced, right? And you have to earn that trust, and you have to help people understand what your AI can do and what it can't do. Sometimes there's valid hallucinations, but also sometimes they're just asking the wrong AI the question, or they're asking the wrong question.
Well, even in those moments, those are like signals, right? Like, okay, how can we make this better? What else do we need
Mm-hmm.
to communicate? Where else do we need to educate? Because I think that's the piece, is that we get to take more ownership over it than I think we
Mm-hmm.
realize. It's like, oh, it's wrong. Like, it's what am I supposed to do? And really, you can keep pushing back. I was yelling at Claude a ton yesterday because it wasn't getting something. We had a full-on fight. So, so that, like that's how I see it. It's something that I'm going to continue to like push and figure out if it can really meet my needs.
Yeah.
So just going back though to like the very beginning of your journey with Crossbeam and AI, just like what did step one really look like? Like how did you get to where we're talking about an agent now?
Yeah, step one for ourselves was educating ourselves about AI. We do have good corporate support, and I think that is really helpful, right? If your company has AI committees, has assessed what, I will say corporate support is important. It's also important to understand what the company has decided about AI. So it's really common now for companies to have AI committees, AI ethics committees, set policies about the use of AI and what is allowed and what is not. So if you're going to be exploring using like the Crossbeam MCP, for your purposes and partnerships, you should go have some chats with IT, possibly with compliance and or legal, and say, okay, where are we, right? What AI tools are we allowed to adopt? What do we already have access to? Maybe your company has bought you a corporate cloud subscription or has Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft Copilot Studio. So I think first find out what company support you have, and also tools, things like that, and then educate yourself. And then where we started after doing all of that, and we have corporate support and access to tools, and we have a very robust AI committee at PTC with what's allowed and what's not allowed, and how we can use AI. So in our case, as a publicly traded large company, we do have to know those things, or otherwise we would get in trouble with IT, right? And our compliance. Once we did that, and once we educated ourselves, we built our first version of the partnership agent in Copilot Studio and tested it, and then rolled it out and educated people. And it was a much smaller scope than it is today, right? I think it had access to the web pages I mentioned, and like one Dataverse table and one SharePoint folder, right? No MCPs, no kind of additional tools and things like that it has today. And we educated people on what it is, what it can do. We spent a lot of time encouraging people to use it. One of my standard activities was in some of the different teams channels that I'm on, say like with our sales team, I would see them ask a general question to the sales team channel about partnerships. And I would take that question and I would drop it into the partnership agent, right? I would make sure that the partnership agent could answer it. And if the partnership agent could answer it, I would then go back and copy it into the team channel and go, great question. Look what the partnership agent said, right? To show them, to remind them to use it, hopefully in a not too snarky way, and show them the results, right? The benefit was also, to your point, it let me improve it, right? If the partnership agent couldn't answer the question, I would go and fix it. But yeah, that's where we started. Was, kind of a small scope. So you could, if you're starting out today, you could start just, if you have Crossbeam, you could start with just the Crossbeam MCP, and maybe pair that with, one extra source you have. Do you have Gong? Do you have a Google Drive or a SharePoint drive of, some authoritative information about partnerships that if you combine that with Crossbeam becomes more interesting, right? Yeah, that's where we started. And I think that's where people can start.
Yeah, no, and that was going to be my next question was what advice do you have, for people who are considering the Crossbeam NCP, like from your experience, like what would be helpful for them if they're just getting started with like trying to figure out if they should do this or how to do it?
Yeah, I think you said, Joy, earlier. I think a great place to look is also take a look at your kind of normal day-to-day motions or weekly motions. What are the things you do repetitively that are similar, or similar? What are the things that take a little bit of time? And could you use AI to make those faster for yourself? Could you use them to make it repeatable, higher quality, more enduring, and take AI and do that first, right? To your point, and if you do it for yourself, those repetitive tasks, then you could talk with people in your team and what are they doing, right? What are they doing repetitively? Is it something similar to what you're doing? And then you could share what you've done in AI. I think one of the things that has been really fun and useful is at PTC, we have a lot of AI groups, different kinds of AI groups. And so, for example, I'm on a Copilot Champions group, right? We have a Teams channel. We occasionally meet. And one of the goals is to share, right? What are we all doing with Copilot Studio? And, if I have a need and I'm doing something, it's probably a good bet that other teams have a similar need. Maybe not exactly the same, but they could learn what I'm doing and take it, and vice versa. So I think sharing across teams too, don't restrict yourself to just partnerships or sales or revenue groups if that's where you are. Your dev teams, if you're in a software company, your dev teams are probably doing all kinds of things with AI. Some of it you won't do, but some of it is similar, right? They have processes, they run projects, they have to do email, they have to respond to things, right? So yeah, look at what everyone else is doing. I think AI is a back to school moment for everyone, even people in AI as their career. There are many things to learn and consider. And so take it as the back to school moment it is and approach it in that way. This is a area where I think being as transparent as possible, collaborative and sharing is really important if you want to make progress in AI. Don't hold it, close and quiet, right? And instead kind of find those connection points.
Appreciate that. I think that honesty and kind of being really practical about the journey is really going to resonate with people, I hope, regardless of where they are on their AI journey or where their company might be, where you guys are fully orchestrated with this amazing agent and a lot of other great tools that you're working with. So, any closing thoughts or anything else that we haven't touched on that you want to make sure people hear from you? Or I think you
Um,
hear a lot.
I think I hit a lot. I will say, like I said, I think we're super excited about the Crossbeam MCP. We're super excited about Crossbeam. And we used the kind of free version for quite a while, honestly. It helped us though. It helped us understand not only what could we do with Crossbeam, it definitely helped us make the business case for the purchase of a larger investment in Crossbeam and our CRM, and now and with the MCP. And we've kind of rapidly implemented it and gotten it into the hands of our team. So we're in a big education push still with that aspect in our CRM, but we're continuing to see benefit, right? And we're continuing to explore new ways to use Crossbeam. And I expect the same for the MCP. Like I said, we're still early days. And I guess the one takeaway I would say with AI is it is early days for it. And so your vendors, your like Crossbeam, Crayon, Gong, Arena with our own AI and our platform for customers, we are all rapidly developing and growing into the AI capabilities we put into MCP agents. So, I do find, most MCP agents today have limits that I didn't expect, right? They aren't equal to the AI in the platforms themselves usually. But that's because we're all learning and growing with MCP and our dev teams are building in. And so I would say you need to have that awareness and be both patient with the AI technologies you use. I mean, Microsoft, I feel like every week puts out new updates to Copilot Studio in these kind of beta releases, and we'll put out things and then we'll actually sometimes take it away as well, those beta things. And so be aware that this is a area of technology that is just rapidly undergoing change. While it's progressing, it isn't exactly what I would call fully stable. And so, so like the Crossbeam MCP agent, we've been finding a lot of great uses for it, but we've also found its boundaries, and we've also found Crayon's boundaries and Gong MCP's boundaries today, and some of them surprised us. And so then we went back and reset expectations. But I know that all those companies are going to be improving their MCPs, right, and expanding those boundaries. So I guess that would be, the one thing I would really recommend is be aware this is a journey that we are in the very early stages of, and probably haven't seen this level of rapid software technology change since, trying to think, I've been in this industry too long. Maybe relational databases, like when relational databases came out, for those of you who are old enough to remember, it was kind of life changing at the time, and but it was very unstable, right? For a while, how they worked, right, and what we would do with relational databases. And I think that's where we are with AI.
Yeah.
Like if you step away from it for a month or two, and you come back, you may find that there's, you have to get up to date. I heard, and this is, I know it's a bit long-winded, but I heard a interview, I think on NPR, with one of Anthropic's senior executives, who had taken family leave for about 3 months and came back to what the team was doing at Anthropic. And this is a person who lives and breathes AI, it's their career, and was blown away how much had changed at Anthropic and the tools in 3 months, and felt like he had to re-educate himself. Like it was actually an effort for him to catch up on where the team was in 3 months with the tools and technology. And that's someone who, this is their whole career.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head with it's a back to school moment, and to know that that's everywhere and everyone, because we really can't cognitively keep up with how fast the changes can occur in AI. But I think that's kind of the fun too. It just feels like there's so many possibilities, and yeah, I'm excited about what happens for your partner agent. Hopefully, I'll keep an eye out for
Yeah.
things as they develop. I appreciated you so much, Heatherly. And I hope everyone really found something that resonated with them today, because, yeah, it is a journey and we're all in different entry points. So don't worry about being behind. I feel like we all feel like we're behind, right? You'll get caught up, you'll figure out your entry point. And I hope this bonus conversation with Heatherly was helpful for everyone today. Please feel free to reach out to anyone at the Crossbeam team if you have any questions about the NCP or any entry points around using our tools. Hopefully, we'll see you at the next webinar in a few weeks.
Great. Thank you for having me,
Thank
Joy.
you.